suddenly is going to drive them out of business. That's not logical. Now, I think that there's going to be some healthy debates in Congress about the shape that this takes. I think there can be some legitimate concerns on the part of private insurers that if any public plan is simply being subsidized by taxpayers endlessly, that over time they can't compete with the government just printing money. So there are going to be some, I think, legitimate debates to be had about how this private plan takes shape. But just conceptually, the notion that all these insurance companies who say they're giving consumers the best possible deal, that they can't compete against a public plan as one option. With consumers making the decision what's the best deal. That defies logic, which is why I think you've seen in the polling data overwhelming support for a public plan. All right? Q, is that non-negotiable? President Obama, Chip. Q, thank you, Mr. President. Following up on Major's question, some Republicans on Capitol Hill, John McCain and Lindsey Graham, for example, have said that up to this point, your response on Iran has been timid and weak. Today, it sounded a lot stronger. It sounded like the kind of speech John McCain has been urging you to give. Saying that those who stand up for justice are always on the right side of history. Referring to an iron fist in Iran, deplore, appalled, outraged. Were you influenced at all by John McCain and Lindsey Graham accusing you of being timid and weak? President Obama, what do you think? Look, I think John McCain has genuine passion about many of these international issues. And I think that all of us share a belief that we want justice to prevail. But only I'm the President of the United States. And I've got responsibilities in making certain that we are continually advancing our national security. Interests, and that we are not used as a tool to be exploited by other countries. I mean, you guys must have seen the reports. They've got some of the comments that I've made being mistranslated in Iran. Suggesting that I'm telling rioters to go out and riot some more. There are reports suggesting that the CIA is behind all this, all of which are patently false. But it gives you a sense of the narrative that the Iranian government would love to play into. So the members of Congress, they've got their constitutional duties. And I'm sure they will carry them out in the way that they think is appropriate. I'm President of the United States, and I'll carry out my duties as I think are appropriate. All right? Q, by speaking so strongly today, aren't you giving the leadership in Iran? The fodder to make those arguments that it is about the United States? President Obama, look, I mean, I think that we can parse this as much as we want. I think if you look at the statements that I've made, they've been very consistent. I just made a statement on Saturday in which we said we deplore the violence. And so I think that in the hothouse of Washington, There may be all kinds of stuff going back and forth in terms of Republican critics versus the administration. That's not what is relevant to the Iranian people. What's relevant to them right now is, are they going to have their voices heard? And, frankly, a lot of them aren't paying a lot of attention to what's being said on Capitol Hill. And probably aren't spending a lot of time thinking about what's being said here. They're trying to figure out how can they make sure justice is served in Iran. Q. So there's no news in your statement today? President Obama, Chuck Todd. Q. Mr. President, I want to follow up on Iran. You have avoided twice spelling out consequences. You've hinted that there would be, from the international community. If they continue to violate, you said violate these norms. You seem to hint that there are human rights violations taking place / President Obama, I'm not hinting. I think that when a young woman gets shot on the street when she gets out of her car, that's a problem. Q. Then why won't you spell out the consequences that the Iranian President Obama, because I think, Chuck, that we don't know yet how this thing is going to play out. I know everybody here is on a 24-hour news cycle. I'm not. Q. But shouldn't the world and Iran? President Obama, Chuck, I answered. Q. But shouldn't the Iranian regime know that there are consequences? President Obama, I answered the question, Chuck, which is that we don't yet know how this is going to play out. Jake Tapper. Q, thank you, Mr. President. Before I ask my question. I'm wondering if you could actually answer David's. Is the public plan non-negotiable? President Obama, that's your question. Q, well, you didn't answer. President Obama, you think you're going to argue the ombudsman for the White House press corps? What's your is that your question? Q, then I have a two-part question. Is the public plan non-negotiable? And while I appreciate your Spock-like language about the logic of the healthcare plan, the public plan, it does seem logical to a lot of people that if the government is offering a cheaper healthcare plan, then lots of employers will want to have their employees covered by that cheaper plan, which will not have to be for profit. Unlike private plans, and may possibly benefit from some government subsidies, who knows? And then their employees would be signed up for this public plan, which would violate what you're promising the American people. That they will not have to change healthcare plans if they like the plan they have. President Obama, I got you. You're pitching, I'm catching. I got the question. First of all, was the reference to Spock, is that a crack on my ears? All right, I just want to make sure. No. Q. I would never make fun of your ears, sir. President Obama, in answer to David's question, which you co-opted, we are still early in this process. So we have not drawn lines in the sand other than that reform has to control costs and that it has to provide relief to people who don't have health insurance or are underinsured. Those are the broad parameters that we've discussed. There are a whole host of other issues where ultimately I may have a strong opinion. And I will express those to members of Congress as this is shaping up. It's too early to say that. Right now I will say that our position is that a public plan makes sense. Now, let me go to the broader question you made about the public plan. As I said before, I think that there is a legitimate concern if the public plan was simply eating off the taxpayer trough. That it would be hard for private insurers to complete. If, on the other hand, the public plan is structured in such a way where they've got to collect premiums and they've got to provide good services, then if what the insurance companies are saying is true, that they're doing their best to serve their customers, that they're in the business of keeping people well and giving them security when they get sick, they should be able to compete. Now, if it turns out that the public plan, for example, is able to reduce administrative costs significantly, then you know what? I'd like insurance companies to take note and say, hey, if the public plan can do that, why can't we? And that's good for everybody in the system. and I don't think there should be any objection to that. Now, by the way, I should point out that part of the reform that we've suggested is that if you want to be a private insurer as part of the exchange, as part of this marketplace, this menu of options that people can choose from, we're going to have some different rules for all insurance. Companies, one of them being that you can't preclude people from getting health insurance because of a pre-existing condition. You can't cherry pick and just take the healthiest people. So there are going to be some ground rules that are going to apply to all insurance companies. Because I think the American people understand that, too often, insurance companies have been spending more time thinking about how to take premiums and then avoid providing people coverage than they have been. Thinking about how can we make sure that insurance is there, health care is there when families need it. But I'm confident that if I take those advocates of the free market to heart, when they say that the free market is innovative and is going to compete on service and is going to compete on their ability to deliver good care to families. And if that's the case, then this just becomes one more option. If it's not the case, then I think that that's something that the American people should know. Q, I'm sorry, but what about keeping your promise to the American people that they won't have to change plans even if employers President Obama, well, no, no, I mean when I say if you have your plan and you like it and your doctor has a plan. Or you have a doctor and you like your doctor that you don't have to change plans. What I'm saying is the government is not going to make you change plans under health reform.